I am doing my weekly allocation today. Today is Thursday, June 7th. So it's a Thursday, so I am logging into my Ally account, which I've already logged in, to do my weekly allocation. So it was a bit of a slow week, but I am going to do the good, bad, and the ugly. So just to kind of give you guys a full view of what it's like. So starting balance today for the income account is 1117. Definitely below where I want it to be, but they're good weeks and bad weeks. So to start, we're going to transfer from the income account to our owner comp account, 715. Submit. So what I'm doing is I'm just clearing out the income, allocating it to these accounts based on my preset allocations so that I make sure that I hit my target for the quarter. And then I adjust these every quarter. So allocating to my profit account 134.05, continue and submit. Let's see, tax transfers from income to tax 154. Continue. From income to operating 167.57. All right, so now I've cleared out this income account. So if I go back to the account summary here, and we look at the income, all of this has been allocated to my four main business accounts at Ally. So now that section of my allocation is done, and I can move on to paying myself. So this week I am taking $1,800 in compensation. And if you saw the video from last week, I actually added some things. I want to get in the habit of, even if it's a very small amount, I want to get the mechanics down of hitting some of these extra accounts that over time, as my business grows, I want to be able to fund at a target allocation rate every week. So for now, I've just put it at 1%. So these are 529 plans for my three kids, and then IRAs for my wife and I. We, for a while, have just been pausing the IRAs and trying to build up just our more liquid investments. But as my business grows and as I have more cash to allocate, I want to allocate it to these accounts as well. So I'm not going to go through the actual allocations of these today on the screencast because I'm still trying to make sure I have that workflow in a way that I am comfortable with how much information I'm sharing. Because as you can imagine, it's probably a little bit of a balance between how much you share, and especially when you're talking about bank accounts and things like that. So first allocation I'm going to make, go back to my transfers. I added this account. I've never actually transferred from Ally to this account. I usually do it from the E-Trade interface, but I want to keep that under wraps. So I'm going to go from owner comp 15%, which is $270, to this E-Trade account. So I'm going to send 270. It's a one-time transfer delivered on the 8th. Continue and submit. So that one's done. I want to send 5% to bump up our personal reserve account. So I want to go from owner comp to ally reserve. So that's 90. Click continue and submit. Okay, so that's done. Now I want to go down to my budget. So the thing that's different with my budget is I do a flat number. We try to stay around $500 for these types of expenses every week. So I'm going to go from owner comp to my budget account. And we do it separate. We separate Ally from Chase just for a few reasons, which maybe I'll go through that some other day. And submit. Next is for fixed expenses. So these are, if you think of like your normal bills, like this is where a mortgage comes out of, things like that. So I'm going to go to Chase Reserve. Reserve, fixed, same kind of synonymous with the way I think about them. Click continue. And then once I get off with you guys, I'm going to do, see, allocate another 6%, which $18 basically to each of these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 accounts. Now, I've been doing the extra mortgage payment. I think it's been at 5%. I'm going to bump that down in an effort to create a process for just to get the systems and process going for contributing 1% to each of these 5 extra buckets. So instead of doing 5% to just mortgage, I'm going to do 1% across these 6 different accounts. And again, over time, I want to bump those up. But for now, I just want to build in the mechanics to my process. So today is June 7th. Next week, actually in 2 weeks, I'll actually be writing a check as part of my quarterly tax payments. So that's the next non-standard weekly allocation that I'll be doing. As an entrepreneur, freelancer, I make estimated quarterly tax payments in January, in April, in June, and in September. This is the short month. So we go from the last check was sent 4/15. So 2 months later in June, we have to have a quick turnaround on the next iteration. So it's kind of tight on from a tax standpoint, which is why it's good to have a process where you're setting that money aside every week in a separate account so that you don't get surprised by that and not have the cash on hand. So that's the next thing that's coming up other than the weekly allocations. Other than that,